Shannon prefers to start on this event as well. It's very strong for her, but interesting, didn't score very high in the team competition, and Steve Nuno was very upset about that.
Whelan on vaults. Sorry to move you so quickly around there, but it's happening 4 at once. Whelan's first vault. She is also one of the favorites here. And again, you hear the floor exercise music in the background from another athlete.
Okay, it's green.
She's one of the favorites for the all-around, and that big step on the landing, that's going to hurt. The other night, she did one of the most beautiful vaults I've ever seen in my life. That one nowhere near it.
Here's Shannon. Shannon is a different gymnast today. 4 years since Barcelona. She's 6 inches taller, 25 pounds heavier. Says her size gives her more power on floor and vaults. And she has been rock solid at these games.
And you know, that's exactly what Shannon needed. Confidence building throughout the competition, and this was strong.
We lost second vaults.
That's what she was looking for. That's the vault that we saw the other night.
But she's going to have to take the first one average with that one. Let's listen in on Nuno.
Okay.
Steve Nuno.
Nice tight body and a great stick at the end. Okay. Let it go.
It was a gorgeous, gorgeous set. And of course, we talk about the dismounts and the landings. The interior of the routine was very strong. She had all the difficulty. Tkachev, release skill down to the low bar. You know, she's so cool. She works so well under pressure. Take a look at this dismount. Nice, stretched out, double layout, bang.
And the thing that amazed me with that, Opie, is I didn't think that she was going to stick that dismount. It looked like she was too under-rotated, but she just held on.
Up next, Tim, Rosa Galieva. We all remember a little girl in Barcelona 4 years ago, but you did not see her in the all-around competition. Hers is the story of someone who was left behind. Growing up as part of a system where your life is decided by others. This happened to Rosa Galieva. Rosa is 19 now, 19 and a veteran of the Olympics and of life. When she was only 15, she helped the Soviet Union win their last medal as a unified team. Rosa had a gymnast she spent every day with, Tatiana Gutsu. No one ever expected much of Rosa Galieva. She was the youngest of a strong, unified team. But she performed so well in the team competition that she was on her way to the all-around. Little Rosa Galieva, she had now qualified for the premier events. Or so it seemed. Tatiana Gutsu. And on that night, when the decision would be made on who would advance to the all-around, Gutsu stepped off the beam. And it suddenly appeared the favorite was finished. Rosa received the kiss of victory. Gutsu was comforted. Rosa now had her chance in the all-around, but then she was pulled out with a knee injury, an injury she did not have.
Нет, я, конечно, была расстроена, что...
Of course, I was very upset that Gutsu got to perform. But what could I do? And it wasn't my decision, it was the decision of head coach. I couldn't do anything about it.
We even don't know what was happening. It was not easy for me to take her finale. But I made this decision because she was not psychologically ready to do that. It was very difficult for me because I was asked to bring home medals.
Galieva was a victim of the Soviet system. Medals meant honor. What was fair was not even discussed. The unified coaches even considered taking Svetlana Boginskaya out of the all-around, but she was too famous, and they were worried of a scandal. So the sacrificial lamb was 15-year-old Rosa Galieva. And if winning is everything, then the coaches were right. Tatiana Gutsu won the all-around gold medal, but not without a price.
I know maybe she feel pain. I know. We kind of didn't talk. I mean, she didn't want to talk with me, you know, because I understand her feeling, how she feeling. I understand, but it's not my fault.
Today, Rosa is looking for a chance that was once taken from her. This time in the hands of head coach Leonid Arkayev. And in a world where her life will always be decided by others, she knows in her heart the decision this time will be the right one. In the individual all-around, for the first time in the Olympic Games, Rosa Galieva now has her second chance on the balance beam. 48 hours ago, her team was crushed by the United States. They came away with silver.
When Rosa wanted to make a comeback after the '92 Olympic Games, Arkayev said no, originally. Said if you're going to make a comeback, it's just not going to be for yourself, it's going to be as a team leader.
Rosa, born and raised in a copper and zinc mining town in Uzbekistan, but her last name, Galieva, is Russian. She received her Russian citizenship in November of '95, but then she missed the World Championships waiting for the paperwork to come through. 92, her team won the team gold. Shannon Miller is currently in 7th place. Moceanu, as we have it, is already in 12th, and not everybody has gone yet in this rotation. We are still in the first rotation of 4.
Well, she's come back with a fighting spirit this evening. Great exercise.
Stay with us. Rosa Galieva's score coming up in just a moment.
NBC's coverage of the Centennial Olympic Games is brought to you by the Principal Financial Group. For over a century, your edge in retirement, insurance, and investment products. And by Pontiac.
The scene as team mother, 3rd at the '92 Olympic Games. One of the best and most consistent all-around gymnasts in the world. She also turned in a perfect 10.0 in Barcelona, one of only 2 of those in those games.
Remember, the difficulty on the vault event in this type of competition is 2 vaults. You want to go after a stuck landing for both. She's doing a 10.0 vault.
Well, it was a good vault. Just the smallest. We keep saying this over and over again, but this competition is going to be so close. When we get to that 4th rotation, she's going to remember that she did almost a perfect vault here. Great push off the horse, but just the slightest little movement on the landing.
She has 1 more vault to go, but let's go over to Dominique Dawes on even bars. Obviously, she and Shannon Miller are in the same rotation. She's 4th.
What makes this young lady so exciting is her big gymnastics. And one of the greatest skills is about to come up right here. She takes this higher than anyone.
She has also changed a lot since Barcelona. Like Shannon, she is 5 inches taller than she was 4 years ago. Gotta be careful you don't scrape the ground.
So far, no problems at all. Only the dismount remaining right here. Full twisting double.
And And now the judges will have to decide how they will score that landing.
Dawes posted one of the highest scores in the team competition. She got a 9.85, but that was with a stuck landing.
But Elfie mentioned the bigness of the routine, that skill at the top of the exercise. It's called a Hindorf. It is gigantic. Her body 4 feet above the high bar. It's tremendous.
She graduated from Gaithersburg High School in 1994, where she was a member of the honor roll. She was also the prom queen her senior year.
This is going to be an interesting score because actually what we saw from Miller was a little bit lower than I had anticipated.
While we're waiting, let's show you Lavinia Milosevic's vault. This is her second vault. Her first vault, she got a 9.762. This is the second one we're showing you now. So her average score was a 9.743.
Obviously, a huge step on the landing. That one nowhere near as good as the first one. This is not her strongest event, however. She's going to get better as the evening goes along.
Let's see if we have Dawes score yet. We do, and it's a 9.812, so a tremendous start for the United States' Dominique Dawes. 3 more like that, and she could be the Olympic champion. Over to floor exercise now, and you've heard us talk about second chances. A third chance in her third Olympic Games, Svetlana Bogdanova. The goddess of gymnastics is back.
Well, she had a rough go of it in the team competition. Unfortunately, she was the weak link in the Belarusian team, but an out-of-bounds step there on the last pass is, unfortunately, a 10th off.
Should she earn a medal here in Atlanta, she would become the first since 1976 to do so at a third consecutive Olympic Games.
At age 23, she's still performing some pretty impressive gymnastics. But small steps like this, unfortunately, will cost anyone 1/10.
She still has that flair, though, doesn't she?
Well, we will see few athletes that perform a routine with such passion as Bokinskaya.
9.6. So after the first rotation, we see that Rosa Galieva is in first place. Look at Dominique Dawes all the way up there in second. Moceanu in 17th. Miller in 8th. Only 38 1/1000ths separate Burkina from Galieva, who's in first. seen Katarina Witt skate to it. A lot of the gymnasts use it.
This is an important tumbling pass for her. She has had trouble in her conditioning of this floor routine.
An interesting finish for Horkina. When her coach first saw her, he did not want to work with her because he said she was going to be way too tall. But it just enhances the way she looks on floor.
Probably the highlight of this routine, John, along with her choreography, of course. Did you check out those eyes? Was the triple twist in the first tumbling pass. Looks very well on her. Actually, this was the second tumbling pass. She takes a step over to the side, and that's costly.
And Alfie, you know, no double somersaults in that entire exercise. Very, very interesting.
Svetlana Horkina. She injured her back in Sabai back in October following the Worlds, and she had to spend a month in the hospital. Dominique Dawes, and the news here is that after one rotation, she is in silver medal position. 13 1,000th of a point separates her from Rosa Galieva. Now, while Horkina was performing, let's take you back to Lilia Podkapayeva and her uneven bars routine.
And this is a routine where it could go wrong for Lilia. Perhaps not her strongest, but if she can get past this event, two of her best are still to come.
She'll do a 3 release sequence in a row. Whoa, that was
a big mistake.
The bent knees there, that'll cost her. Here come the 3 releases in a row. That was beautiful gymnastics, though.
So unlike Lilia, because what she does so well is she executes. Look at the toes, the stretched legs. Really unfortunate that she had to tuck her knees in that skill.
Floor exercise score, 9.7. Lilia Podkapayeva, after the bar routine, appears she hurt her hand. Oh, wow.
Oh, we've all felt those before, Tim. Ouch.
Yeah. She's like, get away, I'll do it.
Serious blister.
Yeah.
That hurts, it stings.
She does not have another hand event left, though, so it really won't be a factor in her performance tonight at all.
Podkapayeva's score is still not up. And when we see it take this long, it usually is a judge's conference.
Well, they're going to have to take at least a 10th on that tuck knee skill that she did from the low bar to the high bar.
Shannon Miller is coming up soon on the beam. We'll be back.
And now, Brooke Shields as you've never seen her before.
Dr. Shane.
Welcome back. Lilia Podkapayeva's score on bars, a 9.8. And now, on balance beam, Shannon Miller from the United States, who was tied for 8th after the first rotation. But it's so tight up there in the top 10 that she is only 7/10, actually 75 100ths out at first.
Remember how she led the team. It was a major turnaround in the compulsory competition. She was solid there, solid again in the optional competition. She actually has one of the highest scores from the first 2 days, 8-6 and 9-8-6-2. So she's got to make it happen.
She only needs, I shouldn't say only because it's a high score, a 9.832. If she were to score that or higher, she will take the lead from Rosa Galieva.
Very possible.
She has the ability on this event to be almost perfect.
She scored, by the way, a 9.862, higher than that needs during the team optionals here on the beam.
And this is her strongest event, so she needs to capitalize here. It'll pay dividends as the meet progresses.
Relatively new skill for Shannon. Punch front summy. Just the dismount. It's a full twisting double back.
Shannon Miller, and she has lit up this crowd. Remember, she missed the all-around gold in Barcelona by 12 thousandths of a point.
That was beautiful. Nice job. All right, good job. All right. Yeah, good thing to be aggressive now on the floor. Okay, nice job.
That was amazing. When Shannon Miller is on, she's solid, she doesn't even move, but I couldn't believe what we saw here. Look at that foot. It could have been disastrous for her. She hung on. I don't know how she did it.
But she is a fighter like nobody's business. Look at this dismount. Super difficulty. Maybe not a perfect position on the landing, but those feet, they aren't moving.
Score is up. 9.862. Here's Steve's reaction. Huge score for Miller at a good time.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, while that was happening, Rosa Galieva was performing on the floor exercise. And what happened to her is what's been happening over the last several days here in the Georgia Dome. With 30,000 people here in the middle of her floor routine, it got so loud she couldn't even hear her music. Remember, 4 years ago, she was pulled out of the unified team lineup. Tatiana Gutsu was favored over her for the individual all-around, so she did not get a chance to compete in the all-around, even though she had qualified for it. Trained, waited for 4 years, and here she came in here to the United States, and this happened. You'll see Shannon Miller performing on the beam at the same time Rosa's on the floor. much hearing what Galyeva was hearing as she was trying to complete this exercise.
And actually, many of the coaches from the foreign delegations have complained publicly about a lot of things, and mostly about the crowd noise.
All the Americans are doing was reacting naturally, but it certainly didn't help her. And now, as her score comes up, Galyeva, 9.637, is in tears. This is not the first time this happened to her. 2 nights ago, when one of the biggest nights of gymnastics occurred in Olympic history, Kerri Strug being carried out of the stadium, Rosa Galyeva at this very moment was trying to perform her floor exercise. Put yourself in her position. And so on Tuesday night, Rosa was in tears again with her coach Leonid Arkayev trying to console her. While Shannon was on beam and Rosa was on floor, Mo Huilan was on uneven bars. But she dealt with the crowd and has thus far. Hasn't seemed to bother her.
Well, Mo Huilan, a master on this apparatus. It's a routine that is just packed with difficulty. It highlights one of the most spectacular release skills in the competition. It's coming up right here. It's called a Gaylord.
Named after Mitch Gaylord, Tim Daggett's former teammate. He used to do it over the high bar.
It's a great exercise that we're seeing. She's not done, though. As you mentioned, though, John, she is dealing with the pressure, dealing with all the noise. We've all had to compete in front of a rowdy crowd. Maybe not as rowdy as this one, though.
And so 3 different stories at the same time. And Mo Huilan score a 9.8. Still challenging for the gold. Dominique Dawes is coming up next, and she's in 2nd place.
How's business? Good question for sales or accounting, but not one you'd ask your shipping department.
Teammate Dominique Moceanu had a huge deduction on this piece of apparatus, but Dominique Dawes, standing in 2nd after the first rotation, is ready for her balance beam routine.
A lot of Dominique's questions will be answered very, very shortly. She has an extremely difficult acrobatic series right off the top of her routine. This is it.
Dominique needs a 9.801 or better, and she'll take the lead away from Shannon Miller. American Shannon Miller now in the lead after 2. Start when she was about 6.5. She signed up for a tumbling class, and when she showed up, the thing was canceled. And then she was at a fast food restaurant and bumped into some kids from Kelly Hill's Gymnastics. She's been with her ever since. What do you think, guys? 9.8 or better?
That was awesome. It's got to go 9.8. Big dismount, big acrobatic series in the middle of the routine. She was dead on. Did you see her bite her lip after every big skill? She was determined.
Nice job. Yeah, nice job.
I'm sure everybody at home knows just as well as the three of us up in the booth here that this was just about perfect right here. 3 laid out somersaults in a row.
The chance had begun of USA before the score comes up.
And the dismount is incredible. Tumbling on the beam, full twisting, double back. She knew that was important.
She and Kelly Hill have been through so much when that gym was first started. There it is, 9.825, so she takes the lead from Shannon Miller. Dominique Dawes is in gold medal position. She has 2 more routines to go, and the best in the world challenging her. While that was going on, Lavinia Milosevic from Romania was on the uneven bars. Let's show you that performance. And now she's dealing with the cheers that Rosa had to deal with when Rosa was on the floor. Those are the cheers for Dawes.
Well, this young lady's been in pressure situations many times. She's been in numerous world championships as well as the '92 Olympic Games, so she should probably just block out those cheers. I'm sure she's not even thinking about it.
She and her Romanian team had a hard time of it since coming here to Atlanta. They lost 2 of their key athletes. And a spot-on performance for her that earned her a 9.737. But they had to compete in the team competition with 6, and you were allowed 7 athletes. So they were playing catch-up from the very beginning. Always coaching her teammates. Svetlana Boginskaya on vault.
Same troubles that she had in the team competition, and you know what's so ironic? In the training sessions, she was nailing every single one of those vaults. I think she used it all up back then.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Elfie. She actually looked so much better 5 days ago. Maybe just a little bit too tired physically. It's a beautiful vault in the air, but these 2 steps right there will step her out of medal contention.
Trying to make her come back in her 3rd Olympic Games. She has 1 more vault. First one, 9.687.
She's chosen to do the same 2nd vault. Of course, the women are allowed to do this in the competition. They average the 2 scores, but what she needs to improve on, obviously, is trying to stick it.
She was the '88 Olympic vault champion. Same big step. Svetlana Boginskaya in the middle of trying to make a comeback. Dominique Dawes and Shannon Miller are now way up top here in the Olympic Games. Moceanu's floor exercise is coming up.
Competition. Join us online with '92 Olympian Kim Zmeskal at www.olympic.nbc.com.
Welcome back. John Tesh with Elfie Schlegel and Tim Daggett. This is Simona Amanar, who was not supposed to be in the all-around, although her coach put her in at the last minute after taking Alexandra Marinescu out, saying that he felt that Amanar was a harder worker, even though Marinescu was the one that qualified. But as long as she was in the top 36, Amanar, she is eligible, and the coaches can do that.
She is the Romanian I would pick to place highest here.
7th after the first rotation. This is her 2nd performance tonight.
Fighting for every landing. Remember, she had the highest score in just the optional part of the team competition. I'm sure that's what influenced their decision today's event.
She needs a high score to get out of 7th place. 9.838 would pull her into the top 3. Don't forget Dominique Moceanu. As soon as her floor exercise begins, we'll switch you over there.
So far, she's doing her job. Hasn't given away anything. Just this dismount needs to stick. Didn't happen.
Over to Dominique Moceanu. She's waiting for the score of a previous athlete to come up, and then they'll give her the go-ahead. She is in 17th place entering this rotation. But, Tim, only 0.2 of a point out of first place. How is that possible?
Yeah, it's really, really tight at the top. That's what it comes down to. But she needs a gigantic routine right here. This is a good event for her. The event that could cause the most problems with that leg injury that she has. But like I said, a huge effort here for Dominique could get it done.
Whether you hear this music, it will rip this crowd out of the seats. Devil went down to Georgia as Martha Karolyi watches. Kerri Strug watching.
Out of bounds, John. She steps out of bounds, already a 1/10 of a point.
Good job. No. That was a pace good. That's very good. All right.
What a story 2 nights ago. It was Bella who was carrying Kerri Strug in for her gold medal ceremony. It was her injury that allowed Dominique Moceanu to come in here and compete in the individual all-around. She would need a 10.0, a perfect score, to pull into the top 3. And that's not going to happen because of the out of bounds.
No, that's not going to happen, as we well know. You know, there are a lot of smiles out there. I happened to catch Bella on the sidelines. He was smiling throughout the entire routine, and she really did give a gutsy performance because she had a huge smile on her face. But this is nothing to smile about right here. Unfortunately, at this level, you just cannot afford those.
Rest of it was good. No. Nurse was nice. Face was happy. Good. No. All right.
During that Moceanu performance, Russia's Dina Kochetkova was on the balance beam. We want to show that to you. She was in 4th place, tied with her compatriot Horkina after the first rotation.
This is her forte. She's world champion, and she scored a high of 9.825 the other day in team competition.
You can hear the crowd clapping to Dominique Moceanu's floor music.
She takes a lot of risk in this balance beam routine, a lot of full twisting action.
Super high difficulty tumbling run there.
Amazing that she could keep her concentration during Moceanu's exercise and the resultant crowd.
Very difficult combination here. I said there'd be a lot of twisting action. Totally unfazed by this crowd this evening. That's why she's world champion.
And for that routine, she received a 9.825. Simona Amanar's score on balance beam was a 9.725. And clearing up the rest of the scores here, Dominique Moceanu, her score in 4X, a 9.687. That will not likely dig her out of 17th place. But the crowd is applauding our first place American after 2 rotations, Dominique Dawes and Shannon Miller. Miller is tied for second. Don't go away, we're still deciding the gold. 1,000 fans strong. They're deciding the women's individual all-around gold, silver, and bronze medals. And the Americans are doing quite well. Did I say quite? Dominique Dawes is in the lead after 2 rotations. There's Kelly Hill, her coach, who has been her coach since the very beginning. Shannon Miller is tied for second place. So a terrific showing at this point in time by the Americans. Dominique Moceanu, off of a rough beam routine, is back in 15th place. So a look at the standings. Dawes, Miller tied for second, Mohuilan and Podkapayeva.
We're approaching the conclusion of the first week of these games, defined mostly by the stars at swimming and gymnastics. Still to come, however, is the athlete who was by many pre-anointed as the major figure of the Atlanta Games. Tomorrow, Michael Johnson's run at history begins, and with more on that, Tom Hammond.
All right, thank you, Bob. You know, the 200-meter dash and the 400-meter dash are among the most historic and most basic events in track and field. Yet over all the years, no man has been able to win them both. Not in separate Olympics, and certainly not in the same games. Yet a confident Texan has said that.
Everybody wants to reach the finish line first. I'm trying to reach the finish line first and prevent them from achieving their goal. They're trying to do the same thing with me. And that's war. And that's very serious. I enjoy it more than I enjoy anything else that I've ever done in my life, but it's war.
The battle lines have been drawn. There's only one way to appreciate this warrior. Stand with even his fiercest rivals and just watch him run. Best in the world in the 400. World record holder in the 200. Trying to become the first man in Olympic history to win them both.
My whole career has been based on making history and doing things that no one has ever done before.
were unexpected, but no one carries more expectations than Michael Johnson. He's almost like a rock star now, mobbed wherever he goes, but he handles it all very well.
Well, Tom, we've known Michael Johnson since 1990, and if there's one word I would use to characterize him, it would be the word dignity. And given what he's trying to achieve here at the Olympics, he's automatically linked to another man of great dignity, Jesse Owens. And Michael has another Owens connection. When he returned from the Olympic trials, he received a letter from the widow of Jesse Owens, Ruth Owens, in which she compared him to Jesse Owens, given his accomplishments and his bearing. Michael Johnson calls that the greatest compliment he's ever received.
His first event is the 400, and Michael's march on Atlanta begins tomorrow right here. Bob?
Michael Johnson and those superhero shoes. It'll save time if they end up at the Track and Field Hall of Fame. No need for a paint job to immortalize them. They could go right into the display case. And we'll go right into a break, but we'll be back in a moment.
Still to come from the Centennial Olympic Games, the completion of the all-around. The Mag 7 earned team gold. Now Miller, Moceanu, and Dawes chase individual glory, seeking the title world's greatest gymnast. NBC's coverage will continue following your local news.
Before we go back to the Georgia Dome and the women's gymnastics all around this note, we'll have an interview with the President and Mrs. Clinton, the first fans here in Atlanta tonight, taking in gymnastics and swimming. That's coming up a little later in the show. Also, this schedule note, gymnastics returns on Sunday and Monday with the individual apparatus finals for both women and men. Now let's rejoin Elfie Schlegel, Tim Daggett, and John Tesh.
Standings after 2 rotations of 4. Dominique Dawes in first, Miller in second. And Dominique Moceanu is back in 15th place, so Dawes is our leader. No, wait. This is our leader. President Bill Clinton, his wife Hillary, he on Tuesday, actually it was yesterday after Tuesday performance, called Kerri Strug and wished her congratulations. And then after watching a tape on the airplane said, I better get to Georgia and watch this gymnastics because it's hot and anything can happen. So here he is with, I might add, a great seat to see our other leader, Dominique Dawes.
Not at all surprised that Dawes is doing so well. She had the second highest optional score in team competition, and you know something? She's on her last 2 very strong events. She can post some big scores.
Floor exercise is next for her. Shannon Miller. 4 years ago, she missed an Olympic gold by the most narrowest of margins. Right now, she is tied for second place behind Dominique Dawes. Mo Huilan, China's brightest star, is going to be on beam while Shannon is on floor. And it has been horrible for some of the other gymnasts to compete while the Americans are competing. We did not see this in Barcelona because for gymnastics anyway, it was sort of a neutral country.
Well, let me tell you something about the floor exercise and Shannon Miller. She's one tough competitor, but this opening tumbling pass is her major concern. Remember, in the team competition, she took a 2/10 deduction, almost put her hands down. Steve Nuno moments ago was saying, be aggressive, go bigger, go higher. And he's talking about this first tumbling run.
Miller is ready.